I mean, it's not even fully dark yet, so it could be totally fine.
So Allie, what are y'all doing this fine evening?
So we are working on a mural for Tanger Outlets of North Charleston, and the mural is meant to encompass different elements that represent Charleston. So right now we're at the wall. It's about 8 p.m., almost 8 p.m., and we are projecting the design that we made digitally, and we are transferring an outline version of it to the wall, and we usually do this at nighttime when it's dark. And we are scaling it to fit the wall, and this usually means that we have to do it in sections because the projector that we have is a short throw and it can get pretty close to the wall, but it still has to be done in sections because it can only back up, so much and still get the design the right scale.
The mural is going to feature hometown heroes, which encompasses different, levels and categories of like firefighters, education, doctors, and everything like that. I think they're going to change it out monthly to kind of feature everybody in the hometown heroes area.
So right now we're using Sharpie paint pens to outline the design that we've just projected. These paint pens are oil-based, which is awesome because it makes them stick to the wall a little bit better versus water-based markers will come off if the wall gets too humid, or they'll blend in with your paints. And these ones are really nice because they don't blend in with your paints. So you either have to completely paint over it, or if you want to be able to see something through the paint, these are a great marker choice also. So we're just projecting one of the sections of the design, which is the Ravenel Bridge. So this client actually reached out, maybe a year ago, honestly, and they wanted us to paint an entirely different wall with an entirely different vibe, entirely different dimensions. And we honestly thought we weren't getting the project, but they were just trying to find funding for the project, and they completely abandoned their original idea and pivoted to this Hometown Heroes wall. That's going to feature local community members because they figured out that if they poised the mural that way, they could get funding for it. So the project was a go again. So once they said that they had funding and we priced out based on square footage, we were able to actually, get a contract signed, get design meetings scheduled and all of that fairly quickly. And our turnaround time was about a month from that contract signing to what we're doing now. And the actual installation of the mural itself should only take us probably 3-4 days, I guess. So the turnaround time's pretty quick once people kind of have ideas nailed down.
Yeah, somehow we always work on really large walls, but somehow we always find each other like this far apart, or like I'm right underneath Allie, or I'm right above her and I'm always like spilling paint on her.
So this client's a pretty unique client, a pretty unique case that we don't normally get with murals, in that they didn't have any revision to this design. They kind of just told us generally what they were looking for, and that was Charleston elements, and let us completely do our own thing with it. And we absolutely love it when clients give us that creative control because it just makes us more passionate about the project. The client gets, the style they were looking for when they came to us and hired us. Instead of trying to put their own interjection in it, it's fully our style. So we couldn't be more thrilled about that for this mural. It is the morning after we projected last night. So the first thing that we're doing today, after setting up and bringing all of our supplies out here, is laying in big areas of color. So we're just putting in flat areas of color block. And basically what that means is that's all the stuff that's gonna go behind our layers of detail, and it kind of sets us up to come back in with spray paint or smaller brushes and add detail to the mural. This isn't necessarily the most exciting part of painting. It's kind of just the laborious part, but it's a necessary evil to kind of get us prepped for, what we're going to continually add to the mural.
Things are going good. Everything's moving along quite nicely. We're filling in the colors, moved on to oranges and blues. That's the main situation for being efficient on a big project like this, is just kind of laying in the big blocks of colors. But yeah, I think right now with it being mid-morning, we're making really good progress. My favorite stage of the mural is probably when we're finished with the mural, just because, it's so rewarding. You've spent all this time and effort designing, dealing with the client, going back and forth on revisions. And then you kind of just step back and you're like, wow, I'm all done, I did this. You know, it was a great effort, a team effort. It just is really rewarding to just step back and be finished with it and see like the progress of the entire project coming together. It's really nice.
I think that doing murals is so much more physical than people think just looking at the finished product of the mural, because a lot of it is just straight up physical labor. Like we have our arms above our head most of the day. We're doing this, rolling, carrying ladders, just reaching the entire day. And it definitely takes a toll on your body. I don't think I have carpal tunnel or anything yet, but I definitely get really bad like trap pain from painting like this, because you're basically just using your traps and your shoulders, you know, for hours on end, which isn't necessarily natural for your body.
Thankfully, Tanger Outlets was really easy to work with. I feel like that's pretty rare when it comes to being a client-based muralist. And I think the only revision that they had was adding more orange to the sunset. So we were like, this is gold.
I think we're getting at this point in time a little later in the morning. We are getting tired of the color blocking and we're ready to do the fun detailed stuff, but we're definitely making progress in terms of covering the wall. It is day 3 and we are finally spray painting, which is the fun part, and finally adding in the detail now that we've gotten the bigger sections kind of color blocked. So right now I am using spray paint to make clouds, and a fun way to do that is by tearing a piece of cardboard organically and then kind of mist spraying on top of it, and it creates this cool kind of almost photorealistic like effect with the clouds. So I'm doing that right now to kind of blend the areas where the spray paint meets the bucket paint.
We just had something really cool just happen. A rep from Zebra Brushes just came out and ended up giving us a whole bunch of different products. Zebra brushes are so great for mural painting because they hold in the paint, they don't drip, and they allow you to do a very long line without having to take a break on it. So it's really efficient. We just want to give them a shout out. We really appreciate Zebra so much.
So we always have to problem solve and pivot while we're painting. All different kinds of issues can arise, whether that, like in this mural, it's the surface texture, it's absorbing the paint weirdly. So that means whenever we're spray painting, it's kind of soaking in the spray paint even though it's primed. So we're having to kind of go back and like coat it more times or apply the color differently, or you know, just do different things to adjust to that. But there's always different issues that we're coming up with while we're on a job site that we just have to adapt to on site that we could in no way plan for.
Day 3 is going good. I am filling in some flowers, giving them some detail and definition. They are on top of the color block that we worked on previously. So this is a perfect time to use spray paint and to kind of make like a gradient here. Use different caps. There's a skinny cap and a fat cap we really like to use. And you can kind of just angle up your spray paint like this and make a beautiful gradient, which makes shadows and gives it just that perfect definition that a realistic flower actually has. Spray paint is great for like layering and making things really realistic. Over the past few years, we've learned a lot of spray paint techniques, and I'm very thankful for them because it makes everything so much more efficient, so much faster on the job. It's really great.
Right now I am painting giant pelicans, and they're kind of in like a fun color palette where they're not, you know, how you would see them naturalistically. They're in like these kind of greenish teal tones in more of like a painterly style, so they have fun pops of color that you wouldn't normally see on pelicans, like the lime green and like the bright yellow, but we just kind of use them to kind of tie in all the different other colors we have throughout the mural. To get the little reflections in the eyeballs, I learned this cool trick from Revo, who works with us sometimes. And you basically spray an area of white paint somewhere else on the wall and then dip your finger into it and then tap it, because sometimes you can't spray small enough with even the skinny nozzle on the spray cap. So that's a fun way to get the little reflection part, and the reflection part is crucial in making an eyeball look realistic, so you gotta have that. So it's a fun little extra technique to put in there.
With these little guys right here in the middle of the flower, I kind of just angled it down and it makes like a nice little like cone in a way. And it kind of gives it like a nice little highlight to make it more realistic. So you just kind of have to find those like small little techniques for when you step back and look at the whole picture. It kind of brings it all together.
One of the things that comes to mind in terms of techniques is definitely changing out the caps, using a skinny cap versus a large cap, and then how you approach the wall with that cap. Versus if I just spray the paint like this, you're not really getting any definition, versus if I get close and kind of angle it to the side, you get a much skinnier line and you can control it a lot more than you can if I just come at it straight. So that allows us to get a lot crispier lines.
Things are going great. We're at the tail end, getting the last details done, finishing up the Ravenel Bridge. This is one of the key elements that Tanger wanted incorporated in their design to encompass all of Charleston. But other than that, we are chipping away and should be done in the next 30 minutes to an hour. We're all done at Tanger Outlets.
We just finished up this mural and we couldn't be more happy with it. We think the client loves it, and we're super excited that we actually finished a day ahead of schedule, which is always awesome.
Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to us.
And here's the final product. Make sure you take a look.